you notice on these leaf springs, there's a full loop and there's a half loop. Half loop goes to the front, full loop goes to the rear. This is the helper spring. Something that I already know going into it, and I just haven't checked it yet. I don't know what the measurements are going to be. Is this little hole right here where the springs set on the perch on the rear end. Right there. This hole needs to be moved out just a little bit. But the other thing that I'm going to encounter is my pinion angle. I know that the pinion angle is going to be off also, so I may widen those holes for now and likely put on new perches just to adjust my pinion angle, make sure that everything's perfect when I get it all put together and fine-tuned. But for right now, I want to check the ride height, see where I'm going to be sitting at. Wonder what could be in a shackle box. New shackles. I couldn't find stock shackles. I'm gonna have to go with these. These are adjustable though. There's two height fitments you can use. This is not as low, and then this one's really low. So I'm gonna try that with the not as low and see where my ride height's gonna be. When I get all that taken care of, then I'll clean up the whole frame and get ready for prep and paint. When I disassembled the truck, I took all the parts. I labeled and put them in bags. These are grade 8 shouldered bolts. I'm just going to reuse these for fitment for right now. I'm just going to dry fit it. When I put everything back together, it's going to be all brand new hardware. New nylock nuts, new grade 8 bolts, everything all brand new. But for right now, just a dry fit. That's what I'm using. Okay, got into a rolling chassis. Got the DJM lowering shackles. Got into a rolling chassis. These are the brand new springs. DJM lowering shackles, and they're on the second to last adjustment. If I put it here, it would actually lower it a little bit more. So I haven't done anything. The springs, I've actually kind of pulled them in just a little bit. Can't tell. You might actually be able to tell right here where the helper spring is kind of sitting off just a little bit. But like I said, I have to figure out pinion angle. I have to figure out other things before I make final adjustments for that. The whole frame is covered in this rust scale. That has to get cleaned up. Wire wheel. Clean it up. I'll acid prep the whole thing, and then I'll paint it. That's what I'm working on in this video. As I told you before, I'm going to be doing, or I did, the Crown Victoria install off camera. Here it is. It's all welded in, cleaned up, smoothed out. There's the tubes in there. That's not going to focus. So the Crown Victoria install is done, and that was done off camera. A couple changes that I made. The bracketry here, I added this gusset. I didn't do that on the first build. I kind of wish that I had. There was nothing stopping me from adding it, but I ended up taking this frame, so I did it this time instead. Otherwise, everything is identical. Measurements, everything, all that was the same. Plates are the same, but I came back an extra inch, so this whole plate, instead of being 16 inches, is 18 inches. So that way the boxing goes just in front of and behind where the front end sits. These are completely shot, and these are held on by rivets. I've got the hardware for it, the grade 8 hardware already for it. I need to take these off of the other frame and replace these. So that's what I'm working on. And I'm just cleaning out the frame and getting it ready for paint. And that right now is my goal. So I'm going to start off by wire brushing all of the loose rust and scale off of the frame, and of course I'm going to end up pulling the suspension back off. I just put that in there for my own to satisfy my own curiosity. I just really wanted to see some progress. I wanted to see how it was going to look and how it was going to ride. I want to check out the ride height. Those are not the tires and the wheels, or the tires. Yeah, those are not the tires and the wheels that I'm going to be going with. Ultimately, they're just here for roller. That one doesn't even hold air. You can see it's flat. That's where I'm at. So I'm going to get to cleaning this frame, cleaning all this metal up. Been at this for a while. It's cleaning up nicely though. I still have some surface rust, and so I'm working on it, and I'm not going to make you sit. Alright, I've already taken care of some of it with the wire wheel, but I'm going to get this one. It's really aggressive. It's a twisted or braided wire wheel. Let's see how well that gets. That should get into all the pits, all these nasty, all this nasty rust. So let's get to it. Okay, I've got the frame as wire wheeled as I'm going to be able to get it. Came out looking pretty nice. It's not 100% perfect. When I tried using a smaller brush to get on the insides, it's got some like in the corners here, but it's otherwise all the loose stuff is off, and that's what's important. So the next thing I've got is OSPO. It's phosphoric acid. It's flipping hot. OSPO, phosphoric acid. And what this does is it converts the iron oxide, which is the rust, into iron phosphate. So I just simply spray it down, let it set. I get it under and over, let it sit, cure for a minimum of 24 hours, and then I can come back and I can add an etch primer to it, and then I'll get the implement paint on it. And that's what I'm going to be using. So let's get to it. Alright, so there it is. You can already see some of the areas where it's starting to react. See where it's clean metal, where it's black. It's where the rust was, and it's starting to turn it black. It's right here, it's going to have to soak, but it'll end up turning it all black. Okay, my other camera decided to die. I got it all sprayed down. You can see in some places it's starting to react. You can see right there where it was bare metal, bare clean metal. Where I made all the modifications for the Crown Victoria front end to go in. A lot of that's very clean metal because I've been working on it. So what will end up happening is the rust will turn black and we'll convert it into iron phosphate. Iron phosphate is more stable of a molecule than the iron oxide is. It's no longer reactive. So it stops the rust from actually rusting. Areas where it's bare metal like this, where it's bare clean metal, is going to end up turning white. It's kind of like a white powder, and that just needs to be wiped down. So whenever this is all finished, I come back and I'll wipe it down. I've got some isopropyl, and I'll use a cloth, and I'll wipe down all of the white powder that's going to be left over, and then get ready to throw some primer on it. After letting the acid sit for a couple of days, I've been working, I haven't had a chance to work on it. You can see where it's, or maybe you can't. It's kind of peeled up. It's left it black, which it's supposed to. It's supposed to be black. And you got this kind of light colored white stuff. And this stuff right here that's kind of peeling. I mean, there's no more rust on it, but it's still got this stuff. I can't paint over that. So I took this, it's green in color, but this is a coarse Scotch-Brite pad, and just kind of scuffed it. And it's left it with this gray color, but it's a smooth surface that I'm going to be able to paint over now. Okay, now that I've got the entire frame cleaned off, this is what I'm using. It's a 2K etch primer. And it's just a simple 1:1 ratio. So I'll fill it up to the 4 right here, and then I'll fill it up to the 4 right here. I don't know if this is going to be enough to get anything accomplished. So again, this is not a how-to, it's a how I'm doing it. Live and learn, I'm experimenting, seeing what works, I'll learn what doesn't. Because sometimes just reading books, talking to people, just isn't enough. As you saw, I had this little quart, and it wasn't enough to paint everything. I got really good even coverage and all of it, and I'm still working inside the rails here, and then all of this right here. So I need to go get another quart so I can finish this up. Then I'll let this completely cure overnight, and then I'll come back tomorrow with the actual color. I'll show you what's going on real quick. I've got the frame. It's completely in primer, and I need to figure out the mixing ratio for the enamel that I've got, the alkali enamel that I've got. While doing that, my workbench over here, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's cluttered. I threw it together with scrap, so I've decided that I'm going to build something a little bit nicer. So I made this morning, and that's what I spent the day doing so far. So I've got a shelf, I've got a top working surface, sanded it all down, and then I threw in an outlet. So nothing super special, but I actually have a place where I can try to mix this paint, figure out this mixing ratio that I've got. Alright, so I've got this figured out. This one's going to go to the 15. This one will go to the 15 on the number 1 here, and then this one here will go between the 14 and the 15 to be a 16:1 ratio to the paint. So let's see how that works. That to the 15, and I'm going to take the reducer up to the 15, which gives me an 8:1 ratio. Get my hardener, and I'm going to throw this up right between the 14 and the 15 to give me a 16:1 ratio. Got a couple good coats. I kind of misted it at first, and then I went over with a real nice thick coat, and then when I got all that done, I went over with a nice thick coat again. So I've got 3 total coats on there. See, glistening in the sun. Because it's the implement paint and alkali enamel, it takes a long time to cure. Even with a hardener, it's going to take a minimum of 24 hours before I can actually touch it, and it's going to take even longer than that before I can handle it again. When all this gets finished up, what I'm going to do is I'll take these bolts out. I've got brand new bolts, lock washers for that. I'll take out this cross member, and I'll rebolt it in. And I'm going to clean up this front end. This front end is absolutely filthy. I want to clean up these control arms, these top plates, and I want to clean up all of this aluminum. So I'm thinking that that's what you're going to be seeing in the next video. While I'm waiting for the paint to dry, literally wait for the paint to dry, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the Crown Victoria front end as far as cleaning it up and getting it ready so it looks nice. If for whatever reason this doesn't turn out, of course I'll be sure to update you. As far as up-to-date live updates, be sure to check out my Instagram and my Facebook page also, RipBiker13. Up there, you can see I've already got pictures of it. I've had pictures of, hey, you know what, I was bored today, I'm going to put in a workbench so I have a place to mix my paint. That kind of stuff. So, I got to find a new place for my skeleton now. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Take care.